Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be reviewing the Magicshine EVO 1300 anti-glare bike headlight. With the new EVO series of bike lights, Magicshine has created powerful bike lights with advanced beam cutoffs. That means you can have a high output light that won't blind oncoming traffic. The new Magicshine EVO 1300 is the latest light in the EVO series and combines a budget-friendly price with a compact form factor. Packaging-wise, you can see simple Magicshine branding. You have the black and orange that we see with a lot of their products, a nice glossy representation of the headlight, then all the specs printed on here along with the run times and the lumen output. Go ahead and take this out of the box and we'll go over the specs. Retail price on this is $74.99, so pretty affordable. And as the name implies, it has 1300 lumens of output, so pretty bright. This has a sharp beam cutoff, which makes this light really unique. So it has an aspherical lens, and you can see that hides the LED behind it and creates a nice sharp cutoff, which means you don't have any glare for oncoming traffic. This also has dual beam mode, which has a low beam and a high beam, and that means you can run low mode when you're in the city and then jump to the high mode if you're off-road. It also has a wireless remote, so you can connect to it, and it is USB Type-C rechargeable, which means you can use a nice modern USB Type-C cable to recharge the light. The other really cool thing about this light, it does have a top-mounted Garmin mount, so rather than being on the bottom, it's actually designed to be underneath your out front mount, which is actually included. So a lot of really cool features for an affordable price. As far as what you get with the light, you can see you have this nice little cardboard holder. So if we take this off, you can see there's little hidden compartments here. We have the USB Type-C charging cable. We have their wireless remote, so you use Bluetooth to connect to the light and control it. You also have the manual, if we can pull it out of here. So here you can see what's inside there. You have a couple mounting accessories. So you have the pucks, you have the spacers, you have the Velcro for the remote, and also a couple tools and the associated bolts. What's also nice about this is you get an out front mount. So because you have to mount this upside down, that means you can't use a traditional little Garmin mount on top. You actually have to put it upside down, and they include this dual mounted setup here. So it's pretty nice. You can see it's a nice out front mount, one-sided with a hinge. So you bolt this onto your handlebars. It is a plastic construction, but you can see it's reinforced on the bottom, and a pretty good value with the fact that it comes with the light and it's not something you have to purchase separately. Now let's take a look at the weight of the light. So just the EVO 1300 by itself is 152 grams. If you add the out front mount with the associated bolt, it's 53. And then the wireless remote, which is shared with a lot of the Magicshine products, is only 17 with the little Velcro strap. Unlike the Magicshine EVO 1700, which had an unusual square form factor, the EVO 1300 is a traditional rounded rectangle design. It's quite similar to the Magicshine Ray and RN series of lights, with a metal body and a very similar graphic scheme. What's really cool about this light though is you can see it's designed to be actually mounted on the bottom of an out front mount. So the Garmin mount is right on top, and you can see it's actually a bolt-on design, so you can replace it. You have that metal body with the Magicshine branding on the top side. EVO 1300 printed on each side with this nice graphic scheme. And then the user interface is underneath it. So you do have to operate it from the bottom, which can be a little bit confusing, but is a nice optimization to ensure this mounts underneath. You can see with the mount though, it's very simple. You just put it on the out front mount that's included, or if you have your own metal version or one already on your bike, you can easily put on there. You can adjust the angle to optimize it. And then it's nice and out of your way. You can put your computer on top. So a really sleek way to set up the light and eliminates clutter on your handlebars. It's also really nice that they include an out front mount. These are usually $20 separately, even for the plastic variations, but this one you have dual mounting. So a GoPro on the bottom with a Garmin adapter, and then the puck pre-installed for Garmin on top with a single hinge design. It feels pretty rigid and has a bunch of spacers to accommodate different handlebar diameters. The really cool thing about this light though is the aspherical lens. So you can see, instead of just having a little LED there, this actually has a little rounded lens. So you can see it makes it a little bit longer, but that ensures the LED has this kind of aspherical design. So when you look at it, you can see how it gets skewed. What that does is it ensures you actually have a beam cutoff. So if we hold the light, get it out of lock mode, and then hold it again, turn it on, what you'll see is you have a very sharp cutoff. So if you mount this properly, anybody above this line won't have glare, which means you can use this on a bike trail without any issues. You also get a unique bike lens shape with this beam. It's a very cool design. It's not StVZO certified, but it does have all the same properties. So you have the beam cutoff and the anti-glare design, which is exactly what you want, especially if you do a lot of urban riding. Magicshine has also inset the lens, so you can see how it kind of cuts inward. And that ensures you have side visibility, which again, very important if you're doing a lot of urban riding. So even if a car is on your side, they'll still see you as this is illuminated. This isn't as bright as the EVO 1700 with 1300 lumens, but you still do get the dual beam design. So you have a low and high beam. So you can see when you go high, you actually have the glare, but it ensures you light up the road. So if you're off-road or somewhere that's very rural and you don't have any people around you, you can turn that on and see more things around you. The user interface on this is actually a 2-button design. It almost looks like one, but when you look at it, you can see it has a little curvature to it. The bottom one will go through the intensities. So it's just low, medium, high. Pressing the top one will switch between the low beam and the high beam. And then holding the buttons will turn it off. And you also do have that lockout mode, which is what it's shipped in. So if you hold this for about 5 seconds, this should flash red. And you can see now this is locked. So if you put this in your backpack or pocket, it won't accidentally turn on. There also is a flash mode, but it's only accessible via the remote, which actually copies a lot of the same features. So the bottom button does the same thing, top one does the same thing, but you can double press on the top to activate the flash mode. And the remote itself is shared with all the other Magicshine products. Very simple, little Velcro design. You don't really need it, but with this one being on the bottom, it is more convenient to have this closer to your grip. Now let's take a look at the output modes. There's 2 light modes. You have the low beam and high beam. With the low, you have a 100 lumen low mode, a 300 lumen medium mode, and then the high mode of 650 lumens for 4-hour runtime. Then with the high beam, you get the full 1300 lumens, and you can see a much bigger beam with 2-hour runtime. There are also 2 flash modes. You have a nice day flash, which goes on and off, and then a nighttime flash, which goes from a low to a high. So you can use this during the day or night. As far as riding with this, you can see I have a nice beam shape. It's a trapezoidal shape. And when you're in the city, you can keep it in low mode. And then if you're on darker trails and there's nobody around, you can switch to the high beam mode to really light up the road. The shape is really nice though. You can see with the high beam mode, you get a lot more visibility further down the road with additional glare. So you want to reserve that for rural areas. Then you can switch back to low mode. It is a pretty bright light, even at 1300 lumens. You can get away with the medium or high mode, while the low mode is better for urban use. You also do have the flash modes, but you can't actually access them using the buttons. You have to use the remote, which is nice, so you don't accidentally cycle through them. You have to double click one of the remote buttons instead. So overall, nice light, but one of the big downsides with these kind of lights, with the beam cutoff, as you can see, you don't have much spread. So if you're doing a lot of sharp corners, you end up kind of turning into the dark. Now let's compare the EVO 1300 with other lights on the market. Here we have the EVO 1700. Which is the brighter variation, has a similar aspherical lens, but you can see it's taller, so you get a bigger beam. It also has a very unusual form factor, so it's taller rather than being longer. So if I put the side by side, you can see it's about half the size, but taller. What's cool about the 1700 though, it has this removable GoPro style adapter. So you can actually just pull this off, and you can leave the adapter attached to the actual out front mount. So kind of a cool design, but definitely unusual. With the EVO 1300, you have a more traditional design that we've seen with the other Magicshine lights. Speaking of the other Magicshine lights, we have the RN 1500. So you can see a little more compact. This has a much more basic light lens design. So it just has diffusers. So you can see it helps reduce the glare, but there is no sharp beam cutoff. So it definitely has glare, and it just has a simple diffuser that helps create a little bit more light underneath it rather than just having a cone beam. They both have very similar user interfaces though, with the color-coded power button, metal bodies, and USB Type-C charging port right on the rear. It's also the Allty 2000, and you can see, again, very simple LED lens with the DRL. This one does have the OLED display, which is nice, so you know exactly how much battery you have rather than just a percentage based on the color. There's also a lot of other beam cutoff lights. We have the Outbound lighting Detour here, so you can see definitely a different form factor, and it has a simpler beam, so it has the LEDs mounted on top, and then the scalloped lens design, so you can see that helps diffuse it. So this ends up creating artifacts, so you can see it's more artifacts here and there, but you still have a sharp beam cutoff, and this has a wider lens design with an unusual mount. So a little bit bigger, but wider. Trek has their Commuter Pro RT. So this has a similar scallop lens design, so LED mounted on top. Creates a sharp beam cutoff, but again, you just have a little bit more glare or a little more artifacts with this design compared to the 1300. The Bontrager does have this nice side indicator, so it's a big orange indicator, and it does connect with a rear taillight, but obviously this costs quite a bit more than the Magicshine. We also have the light skin NACA, which is kind of a cool light. It also is designed to be mounted upside down. So it's a really cool feature. You definitely want your light underneath. So it's nice that they design it to do that directly from the factory. The NACA is more aerodynamic, quite a bit more expensive, but you can see very similar lens design with that little spherical lens on the inside. Now let's go over the pros and cons for the EVO 1300. What we like about it is it has a compact form factor. So it's really bright, but still very small, so it doesn't really clutter up your handlebars. It also has a unique lens design, which gives a nice sharp beam cutoff, so you have no glare for oncoming traffic, and it really focuses the light on the ground. It also has that top-mounted Garmin mount design, so it's a really cool design, so it goes on the underside of your out front mount for really clean installation. The main negatives with the light is that you do have a confusing app. I actually don't show it in this video because it's not very useful. You can add flash modes or reorder them, but for such a simple light, it's not necessary. And the UI is a little bit confusing. Also with this light, the battery status is actually on the bottom of the light where the button is, so it would have been nice if it was on the top or on the side so it's visible when it's installed. Taking everything into account would give the light a 9.2 out of 10. It's a nice compact headlight with a beam cutoff. Thanks for watching this review. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can see more content from us on our website at thesweetcyclist.com, as well as follow us on Instagram at thesweetcyclist. This is The Sweet Cyclist reminding you to enjoy the ride.